Hey everyone, and welcome to Flint Community Players Artist Spotlight. In this brand new series, we highlight the artists that lend their talents to Flint Community Players, along with artists from the greater Flint and Genesee County area. For our very first guest in this brand new series, we are joined today by the director of the upcoming musical at Flint Community Players, The Secret Garden, the one and only Mr. Frank Pitts. Frank, thank you so much for joining us today.
Exactly, it's a pleasure.
All right, so Frank, you are the director for our upcoming musical, The Secret Garden, which is the first musical at FCP since the pandemic shut us down for a bit in 2020. What draws you to the story of The Secret Garden?
Well, I think a couple of things. One of it, I mean, it's a beautiful story. You know, a lot of times people expect musicals to be comedies, you know, and just they go to have a good time and not have to think. This is a more heartfelt story. There's certainly some comedic elements to it, but it's a great story, especially in the time that we're living right now. You know, not to give too much away, but you know, there was also a pandemic going on in the time that this story was told, and so it's certainly apropos. But I think it's also a story of hope. And I think we all need a little bit of that these days.
The Secret Garden is full of tons of beautiful and somewhat haunting songs.
Yes.
What would you say is your favorite song in the musical and why?
Oh man, that's tough because of all of it. You're right, the beautiful music in it. I think the duet between the brothers, Lily's Eyes, that happens towards the end of Act 1 is really it's a gorgeous piece. And then How Could I Know that Lily sings later in Act 2 is also one of my favorites. It's just gorgeous, and a really powerful ballad that Martha gets to sing. It's sometimes what we would think of as the 11 o'clock number. You know, I don't think it'll be 11 o'clock when she sings it, but you know, she sings a song called Hold On, and I think that that's one that really people are going to connect with, because it's like, look, no matter what's going on, however dark the times, just hold on and keep pushing through, and you're going to be fine, you're going to make it, and it's going to be okay.
So Frank, you are a well-known and beloved artist in the Flint and the greater Flint area, but your experience isn't limited to the Genesee County area, and you have performed all over the state, and you've even performed in other countries.
Yes.
What would you say is the coolest musical opportunity that you've had in your career so far?
Oh, I think 2 summers ago, in 2019, before the pandemic really started, I was able to spend 7 weeks in Berlin, and I did Mozart's Don Giovanni, and I did a production of The Crucible. Being over there and performing in Berlin, I sang the role of the Commendatore in Don Giovanni, which was cool because I got to do my first real sword fight. And then I played Reverend Hale in the Crucible, where you know he comes in and he really has a change of heart, and his character develops, and you see the change of his thought process. From where he comes into to where he ends up. But yeah, I think those have been highlights of my career so far. But
Frank, longtime fans of Flint Community Players will actually recognize some of your previous works here at FCP, which some of them include Young Frankenstein, Big River, Once Upon a Mattress, just to name a few. In the many experiences that you've had here at Flint Community Players, do you have any specific fond memories or stories, or any funny memories or stories from past shows that you would be willing to share with us?
I remember a story a little bit about that we did with Annie, and one of the characters who was playing the butler at the time, who also happens to be in this production as well. And so we were talking about this. He's always such a consummate trooper. He was on stage, and Sandy the dog decided to leave a package on stage.
No.
Yes. And the guy playing the butler noticed that there was something on stage and reached down to scoop it up and get rid of it, and then realized when he got off stage what he had in his hand. So that was fun. And just many, many terrific times that we've had, you know, and every cast member becomes like a family, you know, and there are, you know, people that I've had shows that have been in my shows before, and I still talk to them all the time. Or I'll call them and say, hey, you know, I think I'm doing this show and you're perfect for this. And I really would love for you to come out and audition for it. And sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. But, you know, connections in the theater are lifelong. And, you know, and there's just something about coming together to do a project like this, or any musical production where you're spending lots of hours together. You're in close quarters sometimes, you know, in dressing rooms and rehearsal space, and you know, getting the dances down to where, you know, some people are more adept at dancing than others, and everybody's pitching in to say, hey, you can do this, you know, and pulling for each other. It's even, you know, I'm seeing now as we're putting this show together, and cast members are still sitting out in the audience chairs, and somebody comes out to do one of their solo numbers, you know, and they get through and they just burst into applause because they're just really excited for the work that they're seeing on stage. You know, we don't ever get to do that because, you know, most of us are so busy doing shows, we never really get the opportunity to sit in the audience and see it. So I've had a lot of great memories doing shows with SCP, and I hope to continue for many years to come.
Actually, building off of that, people that check out our Facebook and our Instagram will see that we always do these Throwback Thursday posts and everything. And whenever we post a show that you had worked on, or you directed, musical directed, anything like that, we always get people sharing really fond memories and stuff like that. And we have, there's so many people, and myself included, as somebody who's worked with you on a couple projects, always talk about the feeling of warmth and like safety that you create in your space, which is really great. And specifically with musicals, I've heard so many people that talk about when they know that you're involved in it, all that stress of, you know, nerves about singing and everything sort of go away. And that's a great testament to you. So do you have any advice for people who might be considering auditioning for a musical, but might be nervous about their vocal talents and stuff like that?
Sure. You know, I think that the first thing you can do is your best. When you are auditioning, there's so many factors involved in that process that people don't understand when with the folks that are sitting on the other side of the table. And the thing is you can only control what you can control, right? And so if you come in, you're prepared, you know your music, you know what you want to sing, you've done the work beforehand, you've done your homework, you've practiced, and you've built character around the piece that you're going to do, even if it's only, you know, 16 bars. But, you know, to just relax and enjoy the process. Whether you get cast or not, the process of doing the audition is going to make you a better actor. It's going to make you a better auditioner. You know, you're going to learn something about yourself in the process if you let that happen. And so just kind of like taking a deep breath and just doing the best that you can and trusting the work that you've done. You know, there's no need to ever be nervous, you know, because all they can say is no thank you. You know, and you haven't lost anything necessarily, you know, it's just, and that happens. So know that also when you're auditioning, not getting the part that you want is not a reflection of your ability or talent. You know, there's a certain look that a director is looking for. Sometimes, you know, if you know where you have to go with a male character, then you pick the female character that best looks together and makes it most believable. And you can't control, as an auditioner, you can't control that, you know. So you just relax, go in, do your very best, and at the end of the day, realize what you've learned from the process and be happy with that and take that with you to the next audition.
So, Frank, as a musical director, you are working closely with the orchestra and everything, and I actually got the chance to see some of the setup for the orchestra for the Secret Garden, and I'm really excited. I was seeing all the cool instruments and everything, and I'm so excited to just listen to the music and stuff that you're working on.
Yeah.
What would you say is your favorite part of working with an orchestra?
The part that's fun for me is that, because of the work that I've been able to do over the years, I've developed relationships with the players. They're friends of mine, and they're my go-to folks because I know their ability, I know they can come in and they're going to nail it, and it's going to be a great show. So the rehearsal process is a lot of fun. There are sometimes it's folks that I don't get to see very often. So when I hire them to be in the pit, then we get a couple of rehearsals together beforehand, and then we have the week of tech and all the performances, so we get to hang out together, and we get to spend time together and reconnect and then create, make music together, and help provide the underscore and everything for the show, and it's a beautiful process. So and it's a lot of fun. We have a ball.
So for this series and everything, we also like to toss something that is a non-arts related question in there, just to shake things up a little bit and everything. So non-theater related question, what would you say is your favorite book that you've ever read, or book series?
Of course, because you've asked me that, I can't tell you the title. But I can tell you that one of my favorite authors who I really enjoy reading is Ken Follett. And he writes a lot of fictional history from the medieval time period. And I love that. My mom got me hooked on him once. She gave me a book for Christmas. And it was about, it took place in the Middle Ages, and it was about churches, cathedrals being built around that sort. And it was like a 1,600-page book. I mean, it was like this thick. It was like Pride and Prejudice, I devoured that thing in literally 3 days. I mean, sometimes I was like, oh my God, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I have got to go to bed. But then it's like, okay, well, just one more chapter. I just got to see what's going on. Just one more. And it was just riveting. And so he's probably one of my favorite fictional writers.
So,
yeah.
So, Frank, your career in theater is, as we've said, super impressive, spanning many genres, many styles, many shows, many locations, and things like that. What inspires you to keep coming back to doing theater?
I'm a storyteller. This interview might have showed me that a little bit. And I love to tell stories. I love to tell stories that have heart. I love to make people laugh, and I want to make people think. I want to hit them in their feels, because I'm one of those people. I will sit in an audience and cry my eyes out. I went to see the new Spider-Man movie a couple of weeks ago, and there was one particular scene in there that hit me close to home, and I nearly had to leave the theater because I thought I was going to make too much noise because I was crying so hard. And then again, the people, working with the cast, putting a cast together, and then making something out of that, and seeing it come together, seeing it come alive, working with the designers, having Adam here to do all the beautiful work he's doing. I mean, he just amazes me every single day. I come in here and see something new, and he's just incredible. And getting to work with incredible lighting people, and adding those aspects, and then seeing everything come together. It's a rush. It is. It's a rush.
So the last question that we have is in regards to the Secret Garden.
Okay.
So bringing it back to you as the director for the Secret Garden, what do you hope audiences will take away from the show?
I think that I hope that they will leave with a deeper sense of hope themselves for the times that we're living in. That they will, maybe be inspired to connect more to family, to reach out, and if they're struggling, getting over something. A lot of people have had a lot of grief to deal with, and sometimes, unfortunately, I know all too well how lonely grief can be, and sometimes it's difficult to reach out and you just kind of get caught up and sunk into it. And I hope that people who are struggling will see this, and maybe they'll be encouraged to reach out to family members or to friends to say, hey, I don't want to do this alone, and can see what happens when or they'll be the person who steps in and says, hey, I'm noticing this, let's plant some seeds, and we'll make some flowers grow.
Well, Frank, we are at the end of our interview, so for the final part of this spotlight, if you want to talk to the camera and tell us about any upcoming projects that you have, any shout outs you would like to make, best way for people to follow you, anything you want as a goodbye to everyone.
Oh, wow. Well, I've got a lot of great projects coming up. That involve travel, so it's not anything anybody around here is going to be able to see. I'm heading to Arkansas in February to do some master classes with Arkansas State University. I'm heading to Fresno, California in April to sing the Mozart Requiem with a symphony chorale out there. And I just, I've got other shows with other theater companies coming up. I'll be doing Drowsy Chaperone. I'll actually be back here in June to be music director for the last 5 years that we'll be doing, I think is it the Ghost Light series?
Yep, Ghost Light series.
It's the Ghost Light series, so I'm excited about that. It's another great show with a great story and great music. And then maybe later on this summer I might be doing Spamalot if I don't head back to Europe. But just come out and support the arts in the community. It's so important for us to continue to tell our stories and to share in the journey that we call life, even when it's difficult. So come on out to the theater, get your tickets now, and enjoy The Secret Garden, because you are not going to be disappointed. The artists are incredibly talented, and there's some amazing work going on here at Flint Community Players.
Well, Frank, thank you so much for joining us today. It was so great talking to you, letting people see a bit of your personality a little bit more, and hopefully some other people watching will be able to work with you very soon.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
Awesome.
Thanks, Zach.
Thanks, Frank.
Great to be with you.
You can see The Secret Garden at Flint Community Players, January 20th through the 23rd. More information about ticketing, health and safety, and show times are listed below. Thank you for tuning in to today's Artist Spotlight. Be sure to follow us on social media, hit that like button, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any updates with Flint Community Players.